All right, everybody, it's time to get this LS swap under the way. So we're gonna start with raising her up, taking out fluids, bumper off, grill off, and we'll go from there. Let's get her done. Yeah, I'll meet you there. Okay, so this was a good engine, roughly 168,000 on it. I don't remember exactly, but roughly there. But it did have some oil leaks, so I'm gonna blow everything apart real quick, and I'm gonna reseal the whole engine. That way, I don't have any issues, hopefully. And we'll throw back together what we need, what we don't need, then get sold. So, let's get to it. Morning, everybody. It's the next day. Got the LS all tore apart. I went and grabbed steam cleaner from work because everything's kind of nasty, and I was trying to work on cleaning it, but when you have grease like this, it just wants to come off in layers. That steam cleaner will peel it off like butter. So we got all the fluids drained out of the Jeep, except for just disconnected the tranny cooler lines. Gonna let them seat for a little bit, and then after that, we're gonna start tearing her apart. We'll get her down and tear the front bumper off, grill, radiator, and everything else. Get that engine ready to come right out front. We'll show you along the way. right, guys, I've been wanting to do this for a while, but this cross member is going to kind of be in the way anyways. But so I'm going to take and I'm going to trim it out on both sides, and then we'll come back in here in the future, and what I'll do is I'll make a plate that this can bolt to. But I'm probably gonna have to mutilate this a little bit anyways to meet up with the 4L60. So, but I'm gonna get it out now because for one, this drive line is a pain to get off because you can't get to the bolts. You gotta, I had to bend a 3/4 wrench around to do that. But so anyways, let's get it cut out. Something like that. All right, just like that. She's loose, so like I say, we'll come in later, and I'll make a plate that comes across probably quite a ways, and you know, bring it an inch or two out and make it to where this thing bolts up. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts, whatever. And that way in the future, it'll be a whole lot easier. Same thing when I have to do this pan. I can't drop this pan down around this cross member. I had to take the cross member down, and that's a pain. So, but we're just gonna keep working on tearing everything apart. Let you guys enjoy. All right, guys, transfer case is out. Just gonna leave the exhaust dangling there. And I think from what I can tell, we're ready to pull her out. Spar's kind of holding the transmission up at the moment, but once we get her down, we'll slide that bar out and then try to cherry pick her right out of here. So hopefully it goes smooth. All right. Move it over there, that way I can grab it with the tractor. Yeah. All right, people, she's out of there. I was having problems with this motor mount. That's really disappointing, honestly, because those mounts are supposed to be pretty decent and they weren't exactly cheap. But I noticed that one of my last trips that it was melting. I noticed just a stream of red stuff just kind of hanging down. So. But anyways, she's out of there now, and I'm gonna wheel this thing out, put the tires back on, get it pressure washed, steam cleaned. That way, when I start putting everything back together, she's good to go, not a mess. But then after that, I think I'm gonna steam clean my floor because it's super slick right now. But after that, put the LS in there and see how she fits, and then decide she doesn't fit well and start cutting stuff, I guess. All right, so we have this lined up. All right, back. So now that we have this lined up where we want, I'm gonna go through, tighten everything down. Apparently my ratchet died. There's that. Pull my installing tool off. But now, usually what I do is I take a razor blade and trim off the extra edges, and then I'll put a dab of silicone in each one of those spots on the front cover and the back cover, and then we'll prop the oil pan down. Get one step closer, flip her over to the top side, and she's pretty much ready to go in the Jeep, because we're not gonna throw like the first install is gonna be a test fit, get motor mounts figured out and everything. And after that, we'll pull her back out, probably install the intake and everything, and put her in. So. All right, everybody, just put back together, pretty much ready to go in the Jeep. So like I said, next thing I'm gonna do is probably get the cherry picker over here, get her picked up, and get her mated back up to the transmission. But we'll throw her in like this. We'll get the motor mounts figured out, trans mount and everything, and then yank her back out, start working all the little accoutrements. So stay tuned. Hey guys, so we have a broken stud here. You've possibly seen it from other YouTubers, but just gonna take and weld a nut on there, and set her up there like that, and fill her some wire feed, and then we should be able to twist her off. Because the head's aluminum, it's only going to stick to the steel of the bolt, nothing else. can grab a different nut that might be easier to handle. I'm gonna see if I can weld a nub on there first. See if after that I can get this nut on here, because the bolt's broke in there a little bit.
Because you're going for that stuff you're going for, you can't walk away until after you get it, huh? Yeah. Yeah.
Alright, just like that, she's off there. And we can move on. Alright guys, so I know that there is at least one company that I'm aware of that makes motor mounts for this swap, but I didn't want to go that route because I wanted to try to get this set as low as possible, and because I want to try to use the truck intake, and I know that with the motor mount that I'm referring to, the kit, it doesn't work for that. So, and it just replaced these pieces that I took off here, the old motor mounts, it replaces those, but again, I want to try to do something different. So what I did was I bought some generic motor mounts that are a weld-on kit. And so there are these here, and they're a polyurethane mount, but so, you know, essentially they could be there and cut down to whatever size and weld it on. The only reason I would have issue with welding it on is because of how thin this material is in these Jeeps. But otherwise, I don't have a single issue with welding it on, because I don't need to take the motor mounts off, in my opinion. But due to how thin the material is, I kind of want to weld on. So I'm debating on what I want to do, but what I'm leaning towards is just plating this section of the frame and welding a piece on, and then setting these in and welding them, get them trimmed up where they need to be, and welding them in. Again, I have no issues with welding these in, so kind of mull over what I want to do and let you know. right, guys, got those all welded in. I'll get them ground down, prettied up a little bit. I'm not going to worry about making them pretty per se, but we'll get the slag off of them and get them to where they're a smooth surface. That way when I go to set the motor down in there and weld those new motor mounts in, it's not an issue. So get them cleaned up real quick, and then we'll do that. Hey guys, next day. I don't usually do this because I just don't like how it looks in the future, but just due to the fact that a lot of these parts are oil stained. I mean, you can kind of see here, like, I cleaned the crud out of them. Everything got pressure washed with a steam cleaner, and then I even went at it with a wire, or not a wire wheel, sorry, but it's a wire brush and some brake clean, and it just looks horrible. And we're going to take the time and effort to clean this engine bay up, and I'm not going to make it work perfect. Sorry, I'm not going to make it look perfect by any means, but I'm going to get everything out of here, and I'm going to clean it up, Scotch-Brite it, and I'm going to paint it all and make it match and look decent. So after I do the fabrication work that I need to do, so I just kind of feel like I don't want to throw this in there looking the way it does. But I mean, you can see I cleaned the crud out of these, and I even cleaned them again just a few minutes ago with some more brake clean and then some paint paint thinner, and they just don't look good. So I'm gonna go ahead and paint it. I picked up some paint that I hope is good. It's a urethane, so high temp, so I hope that it's gonna be good. Hope that it's gonna look good for many years to come. I used to always paint engines when I did engine work, but like my big block and my 75 is painted, but it just, like right now, it's, you know, especially around the exhaust manifolds and stuff, that it's just kind of peeling and cracking, and it doesn't look the best, and so I don't like to really do it anymore. I would definitely do it for like the Nova, but for this I just haven't felt like it's worth it. But I'm gonna go ahead and do it, and hopefully it continues to look good. And for, I guess, at least initially, it's gonna look pretty good. So, but everything's gonna be black. I won't bore you with everything, but show you a little bit as I throw some coats on there. I did the same thing I did with the engine off the S10. Went through and taped it up. You just take a little rubber mallet and tap along the edges, and that paint kind of cuts it, and it peels off like butter almost for the most part. But I will, again, I'll show you a little bit as I paint it. I'm not going to show you a lot. I'll just show you some cut scenes. I don't think you want to sit here and watch a half an hour video of me taping and painting. So, all right, we'll get to it. All right, guys, it's time to get that in there. So, like I said before, the fun part's gonna be, you know, with like the Novak kit or whatever, it has a place. I gotta figure that out, but again, I did that because I wanted it that way. And like, I know one of my friends, like I said, he used the Novak kit, and like the motor set at an angle, like horrendous angle, and then his transmission sit low. I've already mocked this up in here, and I'm gonna be able to have the tranny pan to where it's pretty much level, or I could even have it higher than the frame. So that I like, and that's gonna be ideal, I think. But anyways, I'm gonna get this stabbed in here and, you know, try to mock it up and hopefully get the motor mounts welded in tonight, and then, you know, we'll get her set in there. I'm not gonna do the transmission mount yet. I've got a little bit of work yet before I do that, but because I got to get the transfer case mounted up and everything. I think I am going to be able to use the original transmission mount, just modify it, which I'm already going to do anyways, because I'm going to make it removable, as I will have already showed you. But anyways, let's get going.
Pretty.
Probably about where she's gonna live.
Still
Ish.
pretty low.
Yeah.
You're right, your intake will still
I don't
fit
know
on.
if it's low enough, but
Right? Sitting in the hole.
all right, guys, she's mounted. Motor mounts are done. Got my one underneath done too. You can see that. Yeah, kidding. I know there's some redneck ingenuity, but or dumbassery, whatever you want to call it, but and I have 2 straps, just for the record, but I need some way for her to sit in here and stay, and with the cherry picker I'd move her just a little bit and she'd go back. So this seems to be holding her pretty well, so I'm going to get her lined out where I want her and perfectly centered. But this way I can go up and down, and I can get her level. I can manipulate the straps. I can use more straps if need be, and I can get her precisely where I want her. But all in all, she's kind of where she's going to live, so I'll have to do some touch-up painting. But anyways, I'm going to play with it a little bit, do some measurements, and try to figure out exactly where my motor mounts are going to go. But you can kind of see right there is where it bolts up. Here's where my plate is, so and it'll be about right there. So plus probably shift it back a little bit, so because I want it back as far as I can get it and as low as I can get it while still having clearance for my tie rods and everything. So right, I think probably where I'm going to wrap this video up though, and next week we'll get started with getting those motor mounts welded in. We might move to the transmission mount. You know, the Atlas is clockable, so I can put it where I want, but I want to get everything as clear as possible, so that way I don't have anything hanging down and dragging. So it's kind of the goal. That Rubicon transfer case, it unfortunately did hang down a little bit because it was so much bigger than 231, but that Atlas, I should be able to clock it up. So still a lot of work left to do, but we're getting there. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.